Welcome back, viewers, and if you're just joining us yet again, we are in the third and final segment of the Love Bag Show, and as I had said earlier, today we have been talking about the topic of self-awareness, or rather self-realization, and the person doing that is Counsellor Grace Kariuki NDERITU. So back to you, Counsellor. You told us earlier that people have been doing the self-awareness thing. Somebody in their 20s or in their 30s and is probably watching you right now and is wondering, how do I now start with realizing myself? Are there steps that are there that one can follow so that they can be able to realize themselves, or it's just an open thing where you just sit down and tell yourself, no, I want to realize myself?
Yeah, very, very good question. Everyone gets to a point in their lives that they have that moment of feeling like they are at a crossroad, and I need to figure out, why am I here on earth? Why was I put here? What's my purpose? What's the rest of my life going to be? And this space, sometimes to enter that space, is brought on by a crisis. So either it's a crisis of a relationship that has gone bad, it's a crisis of a death, maybe you've lost somebody who is very important to you, or even a crisis of losing a job. You've been in a job for several years and then suddenly retrenchment, or you lose it, and you are at a crossroad. What should I do? And so people are kind of thrown, life throws you into this space. And so at this space, you need a plan. So this is now I need to do something. And that is why I tell people, when you get into a crisis moment in your life, it's not the time to feel like life is not worth living and you're beginning to think about running away, dying and all that. No. This is a beginning of a new leaf in your life. And we want, as a counselor, I want to bring my client to a space of hope, that even though one door has closed, this means an opportunity has brought itself. So you have just been in a relationship for 2, 3, 5, 7 years, and it has just ended. Yeah, grieve it, but move on. Figure out, I have lost that. What have I gained? And one of the things that we gain in a situation where a relationship ends, relationships don't end because they are good. They end because they are bad. And so maybe you are stuck in this thing for so long, but then something has come and it has to end. That is the time that you begin to ask yourself, okay, I'm mourning what I have lost, but what have I gained? Number one, I have gained freedom. I have gained an opportunity to actually have the kind of relationship I want. So instead of, staring at the closed door, let me look for a window somewhere where I can begin to see a light and I can begin to rebuild my life. So at that point, you begin to ask yourself a few questions. Who am I? What am I about? What do I want to achieve in life? From now, today, going forward, maybe you are in your 25, 26, and you look at the lifespan of members of your family. I usually say, look at your maternal shosho. How old was she when she died? Oh, at 103. Okay, so you have about, subtract 103 from the years you have lived. You have a lot of years to live. What is your life going to be like? At 25, don't be thinking because a relationship ended, my life is over. No, your life just started. In fact, life actually starts at 30. I believe so. That is when we feel a little bit more settled, even intellectually. So at that point, you want to ask yourself, what am I about? Who am I? And make the list of the things that how do you do that? Number one, it is very important to write your life story. That's why I used to like to watch Oprah, because people would come tell their life story and I would say to myself, oh, I want to tell my life story. I started journaling very much when I was in my 20s. I journaled a lot. So write your life story. Write the stories about, or even find places where you can tell. Blogs, start writing about the experiences you've had. Look at the experiences that come to your mind? Sometimes the happiest moment of my life or the most difficult moment of my life. My first day, I remember my first day in primary. I was wearing white shoes and my dad took me with a bicycle. We went, and then when we got off the bicycle, I don't know what happened, but I stepped on mud. So I was so embarrassed. My first day in school, and I have one of my white shoe was muddy. So that is something that I remember. And so write the things. What did you feel about these things? Write things about how you felt growing up with your siblings, with your parents, with mom and dad. Did you feel like you were the child who was forgotten? Did you feel that they expected too much of you? All that stuff. Write those things. When you went to high school, what are the experiences there? When you finished high school, when you went to college, when you had your first relationship, who was your first crush, and how did your first sexual experience, what was it like? How did that come about, and how did that make you feel? And also your relationship with God. When did you understand God? How does God look for you? You begin to write your life history. The other thing that you can do to become more aware of yourself is to meditate. Learn to sit back. At the end of the day, take 5-10 minutes, not a lot of time, just 5 minutes, and ask yourself, how did my day go today? Evaluate. What were the things I did well? What were the things I didn't do too well? What can I learn from this? What can I improve? Number 3, I talked about meditation, journaling, writing your life story. Then feedback. Learn to ask people that you grew up with. By the way, tell me, when you see me, how would you describe me? Look at that. Let people tell you who you are. Also ask them, tell me some things that you think I should improve. And don't be afraid for people to tell you what you improve. And then listen to what your bosses tell you. Listen to what people say you do well. And also look at your gifts and talents. What do you do well? You are in the church, you know the Word of God. Read the Word of God and ask yourself, what does God say about me? Personalize it. And look at Psalms 139, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. How do you feel about that? Do you believe it? And what is your concept of God? How do you see God? Because all these things, they will help you to understand your belief system. They will help you to understand how you feel about yourself and how people feel about you. Number 3, it is important to do the tests. These psychometric tests, the personality tests, the things that people do on Facebook when in 2018, what will I achieve? Yes. Those things are good. Go online and look for these tests. Your love languages. Look at... Are
they really? I see them so much, but I've never thought that they are serious.
Go and do it and then evaluate.
Are they real?
Yes, they are real. They are real because it is actually based on research. Okay. That people love differently, and so do that. Get to know yourself. Look at all these tests and take them. Your personality. There is no excuse for somebody who is in their 20s and they don't know what their personality type is. And especially just do the one that does the choleric, melancholic, sanguine, and phlegmatic, because it's easier to understand. The introvert versus the extrovert. Usually that is a bit more complicated, but find the test. That test, it's very easy to do, and then it tells you what you are. Find out what your values are. There are all kinds of tests on personal values online. Click and it will ask you a few questions and you see what you are. Look at your money personality as well. There are tests to do. You just Google money personalities, it will come up. And these tests are free. And get to know a little bit about yourself. Even if you don't believe them, they will show you something, laugh about it, but take what is important, what resonates with you. The other thing I want to say, do a test on your spiritual gifts. Read about your spiritual gifts, because that is also going to clue you in on your purpose and what you're supposed to be doing on this earth. When you have done this homework, And the Johari window, the one that we talked about, especially the part, focus on the part where there are things you know about yourself you don't like people to know. And ask yourself, make a list of those things, and find some time to look at those things and say, why am I embarrassed about people knowing this? Because if they know this about me, what will that mean to me? What is it that I think people are going to do if they know that I had an abortion, for instance? Mm-hmm. What will they think if they know that as a young man, when I was 16, I fathered a child and I don't even know where that child is, because I couldn't handle it, my parents couldn't handle it. I just told the girl, I'm sorry, I never want to see you again. So if people find this out, if people find out that I used to be a believer but then I backslid, what will that mean? So those are the things that you introspectively think about to understand more about yourself. And then we are thinking that when you understand more about yourself, you embrace yourself. And from that, then you begin to make the plans you want to make for the future.
Okay. Yeah, I see we are running out of time, but I want to go back to something that you've said, especially the part where you've said about relationships. You know, we've all been in relationships. We've all been in relationships. Some worked, some didn't work. You've said that sometimes self-realization starts like after you have ended the relationship. The relationships end because of various reasons. You have said that that's somebody should look at it as the start of freedom. Sometimes people take too long to heal. They take too long to understand why the relationship ended. So I want you to tell us, is there a specific time frame that you're supposed to have realized yourself, or it can take as long as it can take?
Oh yeah, this is a lifelong process. I am still learning. In fact, as I was thinking about our recording today, I was thinking about my own blind spot, you know, the things that I don't know about myself. And I also was thinking about some things that I would never want people to know about me. And so the issue of being self-aware, realizing more about yourself, is a lifelong process. Now, when you end a relationship, there is no time frame everybody is different. But I will say this, the faster you accept it gone, the easier it is to move on.
But not everybody is able to accept it that fast. How can you tell somebody who takes too long to accept?
I will tell them that take time to write down what you have lost. What is it that you feel you have lost? So make a list from this relationship. I lost the guy, yes, or I lost the girl, yes, but what losses, what is it that really I lost? So sometimes we are losing the sense of belonging. Sometimes we are losing the sense of security. Sometimes we are losing the sense of feeling that I am important. So the sense of value, the sense of worth, that's what I am losing. And sometimes I'm losing a good friend, you know, a person that I need to look at tumezoeana. We were so in sync. So that is what I am losing. And I'm also losing dreams. The things that we wanted to, the future that we had together, the future that I had thought we were going to have together. Now, if there is a child involved, of course, I'm losing now a parent, a co-parent, and I don't even know how that is going to happen. Now, the other thing is, if the reason why we have broken up this relationship is because the person cheated or something like that, then I have been betrayed. So I have lost trust as well. I have lost the feeling that I can trust anyone. So depending on what you lost, then it is going to be more difficult. There are people who agree it's not working, let's just mutually leave one another. That's different because you agreed. But when it ends because something bad happened or because it's toxic, then that is usually more difficult. Acceptance is part of grief. So you grieve, but then you are grieving because you have already accepted. So you are not looking at it like tutarudiana. There is that, you are still feeling like you want that person back. But take the time to do both. Grieve the loss, but also look at the possibilities of the future. Because if you stay there grieving the loss, then you can't move on. So it is okay to dream about what life is going to be without them, but also continue to grieve. Okay. So you can do both at the same time. I know that. I have done that. Okay. And I remember I had a very tough breakup when I was around 28. And I immediately found a book that was Forgive and Forget. And I read that book, very early in the breakup. And that book helped me because it set me on now the path of actually letting it go. It took me a year to let it completely go, and maybe 2 years to stop crying about it. But I was gone. My life went on. I wasn't there looking and waiting for the person to come back. I already knew that and even if he came back, I didn't want him, because the other part of healing from a broken relationship is to be able again to use self-awareness to sit down and learn some lessons about that person or about that relationship, and be honest about the things that you used to see that you overlooked. And ask yourself, why did I overlook these things, even though they are the things that, for instance, for me, the guy that I had dated at that point, he was shorter than me. I had always said, I don't want a guy who's shorter. So why in the world did I accept this person who was shorter than me? And actually, he's the one who told me that, I didn't realize you were taller than me. And that is where I knew, this guy. And then from there were many other things that, I just realized you're like this, and so I knew, this thing is coming to an end. And so now looking back, years later, I still feel a pinch of, because I feel like we all feel, the betrayal, and we all feel those things. But you look back at your life and you're like, there are so many things that I have been able to do that started with that crisis. That in fact, it's one of the reasons why I was able to go back to school and pursue the career path that I'm in. And probably if I had married him, I wouldn't have pursued the career.
True. It's always so lovely to listen to you, Counsellor Grace Kariuki, but unfortunately our time is up. So I want you to look at camera number 1. Talk to somebody out there, the viewers who are watching you right now, in about 2 or 3 minutes, just to give them your final thoughts on the self-realization issue, and also maybe you can share your Facebook name and maybe where can people find you in 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Camera number 1. Okay.
Now, viewers, it's been such a pleasure, such a great pleasure to be talking to you. My final words are this. If you want to find contentment and satisfaction in your life, you've got to know about your Creator. You've got to understand why you were put on this earth. You've got to know that God has a purpose for you. He has a plan for you. There is no way you're going to be happy in life if you don't live according to the manufacturer's manual. Because when we create something, we create it for a purpose, and we have to read the manual in order for us to know the purpose of that thing. And so you, created by God according to the Word of God, the Holy Scriptures, then you need to know and understand who God is, what He says about you, and the value He has put in your life. As we do our self-awareness and realization, we need to understand that we are people of value. What has happened in our lives has caused us to question that value, but that value never changed because we went through difficult times. And so it's important, as you're doing your self-awareness, that you become self-aware about who created you, who your manufacturer is, and what His purpose for your life was. You can find me on Facebook. Grace Kariuki NDERITU is my name, Facebook name. You can find me at on my Twitter handle GK NDERITU, and also you can reach me at 0707 5848 0707 584830. Physically, I'm located at Windsor House in Nairobi, CBD. along University Way, opposite Central Police Station in Nairobi, and you can find me on first floor at Windsor House. Over there, I work with a company called Anchor Relationship Network. That's where my office is located. So, karibuni sana, and I will be very, very honored to be able to take you on a journey of self-awareness. God bless you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Madam Grace Kariuki. All right, viewers, that's all we had for you today on Champions TV, the Love Bag Show. I was your host, Charity Gordons, and until next time, keep it Champions TV.